Hello, everyone. We're here at Burda Forward Italia. My name is Francesco. I'm one of the founders of the PugliaTechs community, and we wanted to welcome everyone here and those who are watching us online to YouTube. And we wanted to start thanking Burda Forward Italia again for hosting us for the September edition of our PugliaTechs Talk. So I'll start passing the word to Antonello Fratepietro for more information about today's events and Burda hosting us, and we'll be getting started with our events. So thanks again for being with us today.
Thank you, Francesco. Thank you, everyone, for joining. It's really a pleasure to see you here today for the first, I hope, a series of events with PugliaTechs. So I'm Antonello, Managing Director at Burda Forward Italia. So maybe you don't know our company, but if you stay with us, we will tell you a lot of information on what we do. But short story long, it's one of the biggest German media company. So we will talk, of course, about the evolution of media in 2025, and so we will go through different topics, including AI, media, trends. So it will be interesting, I hope. Thanks again for having us, for joining us. And yeah, I hand over again to you, Francesco, for the introduction.
Thanks again. So as usual, for those who are here for the first time or are following PugliaTechs, we always want to start a little bit with telling what is PugliaTech, who we are, and what's our mission. So we always like to start from some news. One of our community builders, Leon, from the Netherlands, she's not here today, she's just traveling. She started spotting this piece of news, so that's a typical feeling that all of our brains are moving away from Italy, and that's the concern. That's one of the drivers that make us want to drive change to whichever extent and in whichever way we can with our forces. So who are we? So we are a grassroots tech community in the sense that we are a mix of tech enthusiasts, entrepreneurs, professionals, and businesses and corporates, as we're seeing, that have the goal of looking at Puglia as the roots, but looking beyond Puglia from roots onwards. And we want to start positioning ourselves with telling you what's our mission and what's our vision. So as a mission, we want to create an opportunity for professionals and entrepreneurs to share experiences, knowledge, and keep having a global vision without changing the local roots, without having to travel, without having to necessarily work abroad. And the vision, again, is to drive a regional innovation through tech renaissance. We can drive this, we can create a renaissance of new business opportunities and new, from startups to upwards to scale-ups, and who knows, maybe an Apulian unicorn at some point by creating opportunities and creating a network that starts from the ground up. How do we do this? We keep a global perspective, but we don't give up our Puglia roots. We want to be at the forefront of tech innovation by making Puglia one of the global tech hubs in a way that we are globally competitive, but we still are connected to Puglia. What does it mean being connected to Puglia? We do it by empowering local talent, by allowing our local talent to thrive and have connection with the world in a way that we can rely on our creativity, our resilience that is rooted to our culture, but still driving through resilience and to the ability to thrive in a competitive ecosphere. Little story, we've seen interest from media, from news, and from hosting partners. These are some of the hosting partners that hosted us in our monthly events. I think now we're very delighted to see more than one monthly event. So we're seeing more opportunities to work with hosting partners, and we're very delighted to being with Burda Forward today as a partner. And as far as our presence, we're delighted to have a following in between LinkedIn and Telegram that spans across around 1,500 people. And this allows us to look at a broader perspective. So not only allowing professionals and startups to thrive, but creating a flywheel that touches institutions that are seeing very, very much interest in what we're doing and what our ecosystem is doing, but also creating opportunities for corporates to be part of this flywheel. And how do we do this? We want to create brand awareness for corporates. We want to allow the flywheel to touch talent and allow corporates to have access to this talent as it thrives, as it grows here in Puglia, and then in the end, allowing access to innovative technologies as openly as larger enterprises give that possibility, in the end giving leads to large corporates. So to do this, we're securing 15 slots. We're already seeing some of these slots close to being sealed for corporates to be part of this network and being early adopters in this journey. This allows us to have a flywheel in the sense that this will create opportunities that turn into cash flow, into investments, and this flywheel will allow us as an Apulian ecosystem to thrive in the longer run. We strive to be an ecosystem, but also an operating system, in the sense that we are not a silos. We are always in a position to strengthen collaborations with other communities. We see monthly joint initiatives with other communities that organize events with us, and that's the only way to thrive. Creating a flywheel across different organizations, investors as well. Most of us are building startups or building scale-ups, and they do want to scale, and we definitely welcome investments here in Puglia. So what's next? We look forward to having you as part of this journey. So please scan these QR codes. Please let us know what you're looking for and how together we can help us and you achieve your goals here in Puglia, and we welcome you on the other side for our next steps. We're going to now start with quick description on what is a PugliaTechs talk. We want to position PugliaTechs as always a middleware between business and tech. So the only way to progress in tech, in building tech and building our professional career is to bridging tech and business. So all of our PugliaTechs talk, they always have a business track and a tech track. So the business track will be hosted by Antonello from Fratepietro, managing director here at Burda Forward Italia, who will be telling us about evolution of media, seeing from the very own eyes of Burda Forward itself. And then we'll be moving to the tech track, hosted by Nicolò Pignatelli, who will be focusing on AI lead generation. So I'll pass the word back to Antonello, and thanks again.
Okay, thank you, Francesco. So we will go through evolution of media in 2025, and in particular through the eyes of BurdaForward. So I will give you an overview on our company and then go into the trends and challenges we are seeing, and I will also give you some example on what we do and how we do. So this is the agenda for today. So I will present Uber Burda Media and BurdaForward, then the landscape on media on 2025, and then AI, some example and principle, and then I will show you our example, our use case about expert circle. So, who is Burda? So, any of you ever heard before the name or the brand Burda? Just raise hand. The employer not counted, of course, also the other. So, Burda, Uber Burda Media, or Burda, it's a company founded in 1903 in Germany. So we are approximately 9,000 employees. So it's a family company, basically. It started as a print company. So they print magazine, newspaper, and then in the 1935, we also bought this for color printing. So we start printing color news, paper, magazine. So the technology is important since the beginning. So as you can see, we also are proud to develop technologies for a free internet, but also our product are focused on customers. So we will hear a lot of time the name of user and trust to the user, because our users are in the middle of our company mission. So these are the founder, the property also. There's Mr. Uber Burda, that now it's leaving everything to the children, Jacob and Elizabeth, that will take over for the next generation. So I think this is the fifth generation now, starting from this new Burda members. So what Uber Burda Media does? So it's the editor of many print and online magazines. So here you can see some of the brand and some of the company part of the holding. So the famous, for example, are Focus Online, that it's one of the most famous magazine in Germany, talking about news, generalist news, but we also have brands like, for example, Immediate, that it's a company in UK, so we have some brand, for example, Top Gear, the magazine, it's printed by us, but we also have investment in companies and startup like Vinted. So we have other portals and companies, cyber solution in IT. So the brands and the activity of Burda Media are very diverse. So we own TV, radio, and media portals. We do conference, one of the most famous in Germany, it's DLD. We have really famous brand around technology like Chip, Bunte, that is one of the most read magazine about gossip, about stars. So yeah, just to give an overview, but we have almost 500 brands in total. It's not only a German company, but our activity are all around the world. So we are present in more than 60 locations in 16 countries. So of course we have also our office here in Italy, where we do more product and tech development. So this is Uber Burda Media, that is the holding. Now I will focus more on BurdaForward, that is one of the company of the group that is more specialized in digital than paper. So we have also the printing part, but our brands are here. So again, Focus Online, that is the most read news portal, one of the most read news portal in Germany. So you can read news about politics, economics. So we have a lot of section on many topics and many generic news in general. So then we have, I mentioned again, Chip, that is the news magazine, but also the online portal about technology. So we talk about internet or also devices. So in the office in Munich, we have also a very big test center where the company send, for example, the hardware, the devices, the phone, and we do all the review, and we have all the the comparison on our portal, so the user can trust, because we review real physical devices. And inside Chip we have also different section, for example, download, where user can download software through an accelerated servers through our own CDN. We have different brands, like, for example, here that you can see the Weather Channel. So we have the rights of the Weather Channel, the American brand about weather. And we have also activities in the green field, like Chippy Power. So we do reviews of electric cars, electric devices. And then also in the TV field, so we have some portals and application for the daily TV program. So we have TV Spielfilm and TV Today. Also Finanza 100, that is another portal about stocks, trading, finance, investment. And yeah, many other brands. Bunte, I mentioned before, it's a portal around gossip. Then we have Net Moms, it's a portal about moms, about the woman, and so on. So these are just an overview of our brands. So we often say that the purpose and soul of BurdaForward is giving good news. So this means not only positive news, but also news that are that helps user, that are solution oriented, so that support the user, the readers in every day in their lives. Do you recognize this picture? Do you know what is it? San Nicola. Okay, good. And do you know the capacity of San Nicola? How many seats, how many visitors can San Nicola contain?
60,000.
How many?
60.
Yeah, you are very close to. No, it's it's actually 58,000, so it's almost 60,000. So this, to tell you that our portal, to reach the people that visit our portal, we need 619 San Nicola in a month. So we basically reach around 230 of the internet user in Germany, so 40 million people. So this gives, how big is our responsibility to our user, and how many people we have to work with our portal to give good news, good content every day. So let's continue now with after this intro about Burda and BurdaForward, about the central topic of today, so the media landscape of the trends and the challenges we are seeing. So here I try to give you a list of what's happening in the media field in the world. So you may have already heard, or you may see, because I think you use Google and other portals, and we see all the rise of AI search and what we are called zero-click results. So Google, it's moving into AI overview, AI search, so switching completely to AI. So when you search something, you see an ChatGPT style interface, so the user can see directly the answer without clicking through the link. They can get a result of what they are searching, or also about what's happening. So you can ask what's happening today in Bari, and you can see all the information. So you don't need anymore to click and go through the result. Of course, there are still very small link, but you have all the information without going through all this very small link. So this create a very important damage and risky to media companies, to companies like us, publishers, because the user don't need anymore to go through our portals. And this, it's creating a lot of lawsuit and a lot of discussion and regulation. So last but not least, we see Penske, that is the editor of Variety and other US news magazine, Rolling Stone, and so on, that it's suing Google for having a dominant presence on the market, because they basically say that takes their content, but do not give the source, and basically it's creating a damage. Because it's not only an economic problem, but it's also how Google control and manipulate the content through AI. In Europe, we have an antitrust compliance, so we have different companies and brands, and the European Commission is creating this case against these big companies like Google that are using AI and using the source of data to create and train their models. So how we can solve this? We are seeing the rise of some new strategy. So SEO, it's now getting in the direction of generative engine optimization. So instead of traditional SEO techniques, now we are shifting into new strategies to prepare the content to be then read and mentioned by the LLMs when we do the searches. Then we saw some opportunities. For example, Cloudflare. I don't know if any of you know or use it. So they recently introduced this pay-per-click model. So basically, they are charging the AI bots when they crawl and scrape the websites. So I think here we have a lot of developers. Probably you know the HTTP code, so you know the 404, but I don't know if you know the 402. Any of you? Which this error means, so this error means you have to pay, basically. And now Cloudflare is removing some dust to this very old error. So basically, they created a system, an infrastructure, so you can, as a company, you can monetize through the visit of the bot that try to scrape your content. So then we see from 2024 already a change and shift from the spend on advertisement from TV to digital video. 2024 last year, the total ad spend on video platform, online digital platform, is more than the total budget spent on traditional TV and media. So here we have the players like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reels and vertical video. So of course also for us as an editor, we try to also create content, to create video content, and also in our app, but also using social media. Then another important trend and challenge is also the trust and credibility. So what we are seeing is that it's really easy with AI and with this LLM to generate content and to generate images, and so and it's not easy also to recognize if there are true or fake. So we see a lot of deep fake. So we are seeing a movement that try to check the provenance of content. So there is an association called C2PA that is basically an alliance for content provenance and credibility. So basically they, like an art, like a picture, they basically certify that the content is true, that the author is certified. So it's a technical approach to for the user, but also for the publisher, to give a real provenance to the material. That can be text, but also you can think of images. You don't know if are true or generated, or who is the author. And then, of course, the user trust as differentiator. So we will see also later in one of our example how important it is to create a relation, a trust relation to the user, so that they can come back and they trust a brand. So we have our brand in the middle of our company as a product. So let's continue with AI. So I'll give you some example on how we do AI at BurdaForward. So first of all, we saw some months ago, some years ago, that BurdaForward needs to innovate faster in the age of AI. So we see how fast AI models or companies in the AI and technology change. So it's very, very fast. And so we need a way to move from traditional processes that are slow and heavy into something more agile. So we created an agile team to do experiment very quickly. But the goal is to build product that people really use, that try to solve real needs. Of course, experimenting, trying, but we want to focus on what we can really offer to the user. So what we did is to create this AI products accelerator with these three main purposes. So first of all, we build in-house prototypes. So we identify some new opportunity and we create MVP from scratch. Everything internally, but also we collaborate with our brands, with our team to maybe introduce new feature with AI in the existing teams, in the existing project. And of course, also it's very important to empower other developers, other colleagues to use tools or best practice around the adoption of the AI. So what we do is using LLMs to do RAG, or for example text-to-speech or short video. So for example, we use AI to do summaries of articles for fast consumption. And for example, we did an app, we introduced a feature in one of our main app to listen in the car, the audio bulletins. Or also we create videos to publish on social media. But also we did some MVP and collaborate with, as I said before, with the internal team. Here you can see in that picture, for example, we have one of our portal that is fit for fun, and with some LLM we can answer to the user that goes to our portal and want to eat and cook vegan. And so then we retrieve from our articles and we suggest what to prepare, but also give articles to give ideas on what to cook. But of course, we don't forget
our principle, and we try to always have a human in the loop. So every article, it's never published automatically. We have always in the final step a check by human that ensure that it's correct, the quality and integrity. So our editorial team, of course, use AI, but there's never an automatic full pipeline of publishing the articles on our portal. Of course, we are transparent, so every AI-generated element, images, text, and so on, it's marked, it's cited that it's used with, it's generated or co-generated with AI. And so we collaborate and integrate AI with the editorial expertise and platform. So it's also the opposite. So we use our editor experience to create good prompts in order to still keep our language or the editor's language, tone of voice, for example. And then we experiment. So we fail fast and learn faster. So we try, as I showed before, to do a lot of experiment, a lot of quick MVP, and if we see that user continue using, we put in production, or we put on bigger brand, otherwise we restart. So I will present you one of our projects called Expert Circle, that it's basically confluence of what I said so far. So using AI, but also trust, real user. So basically, what Expert Circle is. It's a web app that enable non-editorial experts, so for example, lawyers, doctors, scientists, to transform their experience into some content to publish into our BurdaForward brands. So basically, they are scientists that are not used to write articles or news. So we help them to create good contents through our, it's a dashboard, it's a web app. So basically, they don't need to have journalistic skill. And this is very important. We include some fact-checking functionality. So I mentioned before, it's really important that fact that then are going through AI are also checked. So we have around 200 experts, and we also have around 45 people that are doing fact-checking. So it's human job. So how it works, so it's an automatic structuring with formatting and C optimization. So we have spell check, paragraph generation. So through AI, we can generate question suggestion based on the keyword, on the expertise. So we speed up writing, but we preserve the author personal style, because we have their own customized system prompt to generate the content, and the articles are reviewed and published by the editorial team. So what are the incentives for the expert? Of course, they gain popularity, visibility, and we give them some incentive based on the user reading time, on the quality, and on the article views. So we publish text articles, but also video and the recycling of their articles. So technology, it's a very normal, easy technological stack. So we use OpenAI, and we have the front end using Vue, Laravel, and we use AWS for hosting. Any question? Or any comment? Okay, don't be shy.
If anyone has questions, okay, we'll start with this one.
Hey, are you using also LLMs to do fact-checking?
Oh, as I said before, we keep human in the loop, and for this project we have a human for fact-checking. Of course, for speeding up the process, we do a first process through LLM to understand the structure, or of course to check the sources, but the real fact-checking is happening through humans.
Hi, Antonello. Can you repeat everything in Italian, please? I'm kidding. So you said you have 200 experts in
Yes.
this project.
250 almost.
Ah.
Yeah.
But do they come volunteer or you hire them, basically?
No, everything is volunteer. So as I mentioned, so since we publish their content and their author pages on our portal, for example, Focus.de, that has millions of visitors, so they are paid on views, on visibility. So we don't hire, we don't pay for now, we don't have any money involved in this, but maybe also for the best influencer or expert, we may also think in future of some recognition that it's not only visibility, but of course they gain through our portals a lot of visits, so their name, and they can use the. Yes, of course. So it's spontaneous. You can. We have a process to accept new expert, and we have the editorial team that does the interview and accept or not accept. So we are trying also to differentiate the topic through into many categories. So, for example, finance, or I don't know, legal stuff, or any other topic that may be interesting for our portals. You're welcome.
Great. Any questions from live stream or any? See, we also have more questions from here. So I will start with that one.
If I can just, I don't know if I'm on
Sorry.
Okay, just I try it this way. So, usually when you use LLM and so on, the tone of voice can be recognized that is written from AI. How you overcome to this issue, especially for experts that don't know AI, so they think that this is so fluent, but another expert can understand if it's that one. And the second correlated question is how the audience can is accepting this kind of article, news, and so on, that is not written from a normal person and so on.
Yeah, well, good question. So first of all, I start from the second. So the main point is that the content is written by human expert and not by AI. The AI, it's a tool that we integrate in our dashboard to help non-writer, non-journalistic expert to write good content. So to check the format, the tone of voice, to make it good for being publishing to our portal. To do that, we have to follow some standards. So, for example, as you mentioned, the tone of voice should be adapted on our editorial style. And here it's the job of AI. So we have a lot of system prompts, we have a very big library of prompt that our editorial team, our journalists use to make sure that the article that goes through AI are identical or respect their style. So this is how we use AI. So the AI do not change the content, but just adapt to our style, our expert. Of course, any expert can have his own tone of voice, and so they can customize, and we train based on the experts and how they feel. So, for example, if you are, I don't know, a finance expert, of course, the language should be adapted to that kind of style. Maybe you use some technical words or the length of the text or how it's formulated should match your own style. So this is how the tool works. Does it answer your question?
Great, thanks very much. Any more questions from the audience? I think that will be the last one, and we can make room for the next talk.
Hi. How do you verify sources that are credible as not created by AI? Both in the source of if I was writing a piece and perhaps I misquoted somewhere and I used a source that was from AI, and after the fact, when you're actually fact-checking, how do you guarantee that the source is correct?
Yeah, that's not easy. Again, we have human in the loop, so of course we have a lot of experience because in our editorial team, so we have journalists that are used to do that for normal writing, so they always has to check the sources before publishing any article. And then again, there is a team of 50 people that does only fact-checking, and of course it's a networking, it's a collaborative job, so it's not just one that check, but that can be also more than one people in the chain that checks. So if someone does a mistake, there are plenty of other people that can correct. Of course, the source of content, we try not to take content from other AI-generated content. So we try to check the source. Of course, the content in particular with this project with Expert Circle is generated by experts. So they write about their experience, their daily job, their daily activity. So if they are doctor, they of course put their name and they talk about what they are really expert. So do not copy others. It's first-hand experience.
Thanks very much. Thanks again, Antonello.
Thank you for the questions.
Thanks again. Great. So we'll be moving along with our tech track by Nicolò Pignatelli, senior engineer and manager at HeyFlow, leading AI-based no-code lead generation platform. So the stage is yours, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, PugliaTechs, for having me, for inviting me, and thank you, BurdaForward, for hosting. Interestingly enough, I'm invited here because I've lived 11 years in Germany, just moved to Bari, but you know, Germany is always around me, so it's very interesting. And I also have to say, before starting with my talk, if you allow me, that I totally relate with the tool that you built for non-technical writers. For example, I published the whole book recently. I'm not a writer, and I used LLM to extract my tone of voice from things that I wrote in the past, and then asked that to follow exactly my tone of voice, and it worked pretty well. The book is selling, so I think it just works. So yeah, great job also to you. But tonight, evening, we are here to talk about AI-powered lead generation. I'll go through a little bit explaining what we do as a company. My company is called HeyFlow. It's not my company, it's the company that I work for. And tell you how we are using AI to evolve our product and to help people, especially marketers, deliver faster, deliver more, deliver with higher quality, and deal with lead generation. Apart from that, I mean, this is going to be, of course, also a technical talk, so I'm going to explain the product, but I'm also going to explain a little bit the architecture that we put in place and give you some insights, which hopefully are the juicy part of the talk and something that you can take away home and maybe apply to your job. So here we are. So what does it take to acquire a lead? Probably like a question that comes even before that, what is a lead? Technically speaking, a lead is a contact of a person or a company that some sales rep from your company has to contact and try, you know, to sell something or to put a contract in place. So it's not something that happens automatically. I go to a website, see the product or see the service, and I subscribe to that. That's not technically a lead. But it's, you know, it's something that requires some post-processing in order to generate value. So that's a lead. And what does it take to acquire a lead? Well, actually, it turns out that it takes a lot. It's a challenge in general that every company with a high ticket usually faces. For example, if you're an insurance company, if you're a home renovation company and you start collecting leads, well, you want to sell something that's probably in the thousands of euros, and that takes a lot of effort to execute. For example, like you have to convince someone to give you thousands of euros. It doesn't happen automatically. Well, I wish it does, but no, it doesn't. And it's challenging. Why it's challenging? Well, it's time-consuming. Launching a campaign that generates leads, so from the beginning, takes strategy, takes time, like you need to know exactly who you are going for and, you know, craft a campaign that's actually meant and efficient to collect those leads. you need specialized skills. You need copywriters, you need designers, you need marketing managers that think about, you know, the structure of of your funnels, what happens before, what happens after, and how everything is connected. You need to come up with compelling creatives. I mean, if your picture sucks, if your copy sucks, if something, but it's not just about the quality. I mean, it's how the creatives resonates with the visitors, with the potential leads, and connect to your brand. So that's something that takes time and effort to create, and also the whole pipeline complexity. How do I create ads? How do I upload those ads to, I don't know, Meta or Google? How do I connect those ads to my landing pages? How do I track the whole thing? And how do I send finally the leads to places like my CRM and stuff like that? So it's actually a complex domain, we can say. Fortunately for us, the marketing technology space is living like a real revolution with generative AI. And that's because the tools that we have today, thanks to Gen AI, they have a very, very good solution to domain fit. You know, we have to generate copy. That's the perfect job for an LLM. We have to generate image, basically the same. So this domain here is like probably the first place where you want to go, where you want to start applying or creating businesses based on LLMs and generative AI. And we can see that in different places in marketing tech and in lead generation specifically. For example, you can automate pipelines, and company can now do a lot of crazy automation that was not possible before. There's creativity support, very trivially, like you can produce assets on the go. You can do more with less. Namely, I mean, you can definitely create creativity, but if you are a professional, for example, if you are a copywriter, if you are a designer, you can leverage those tools to amplify yourself, to amplify your productivity and the quality of your output. And then, like, we are seeing unprecedented scaling. I was watching a few days ago a demo of an AI that was calling basically a lead, a potential lead, like someone left a number on a landing page and the AI was just calling those people and qualifying the lead. Qualifying means figuring out if those leads are interesting or not, and then someone should follow up. I mean, before this, you needed like 10, 20, 100, like you needed to scale your sales team in order to do that. Right now, just hundreds of euros spent on credits, and that's it. It's amazing. Lead generation automation, just so what I just described, or more or less, it's what we do at HeyFlow. That's the name of the company. It's a German company, but we are all over the world, I have to say, mostly in Europe and in the US. HeyFlow started before the revolution of generative AI as a no-code company for marketers and for lead generation experts. What you can do there, basically, you can create your own flow in a visual style. So it's completely no-code. You just drag and drop components. You build your landing page. You build your screens. And then you publish it. And then you can start collecting leads and integrating that directly into whatever tool you may use for following up. So CRMs, tracking integration, everything is there. You don't have to touch anything basically on the code side of things. Everything is visual. Everything is simplified for the average user. So this is what we are doing. Business is going, and now generative AI came, and then we ask ourselves, okay, how can we leverage this new technology to stay on top of things and to increase even more the productivity of our current users and to reach even more potential customers. So this is what we came up with, and very trivially we call the new feature AI campaigns because it's based on AI. So AI campaigns, great job, marketing team. So what we do there? We simply ask you if you want to launch a social recruiting campaign, Social recruiting means, for example, I'm Glovo, I want to hire new drivers, and I want to look for them on Facebook, on Instagram. So this is a social recruiting campaign. Consumer lead generation, I'm a company, I'm looking for retail customers, I want some leads on that space, so that's it. Or B2B, that's the same for the company to company, very trivially. So we ask you, okay, basically for a prompt, so you can write there, for example, I am looking for drivers for my company in Bari. Those are the details. This is what I'm looking for. Very minimal details. We ask you for the website, and then some branding details if needed. And voila, this is what we come up with. At least that's the first part. So that's the ad that we generate. Takes a minute, and then our product basically generates ready-made turnkey ad set. An ad set is basically the ready-made set of assets, of creatives. This is how we call them. So pictures, copy, CTAs, everything that you can publish with a click on Meta. So in 1 minute, you have a campaign that is ready to be launched on Facebook, on Instagram, and most importantly, it follows your branding. So because you gave the URL, we go there, we check, okay, that's the logo, that's the primary color, secondary color, et cetera, et cetera. So everything is consistent, and then you can just publish it. But this is a technical talk, so let's dive a little bit in a little deeper into the technical architecture. I mean, we could talk like 5 hours about this, so like we have 10 layers of complexity, but stay with me, this is going to be very simple to follow. Otherwise, we can spend like 5 hours. Very trivially, HeyFlow is a TypeScript Node.js application, and we use that stack for the user interface, for the backend. So user interface is, we use React, nothing super complex. And then on the back end, it's Node.js, so we write our business logic there. And interestingly enough, also the AI part is managed in Node.js. So we don't use Python. I will tell something about that later maybe, but yeah, we decided to go with Node.js because our engineers were used to Node.js. Everything was available there, so no reason to go to Python. But we are thinking about that, and I will maybe tell you later if I have time. Anyway, so what do we do with that prompt and that website URL? First, we do in parallel, some brand extraction. As I mentioned, we go to the website. Sometimes we use a service called Brand Fetch that does the thing for you, very convenient. It gives you the primary color, secondary color, logo, tone of voice, probably. And then we start doing some context preparation. Context preparation is nothing more than we warm up the conversation with a chat model. Usually it's by OpenAI, some GPT flavor. And then we start saying, okay, we want to start creating a campaign for this customer. This is the type of campaign, et cetera, et cetera. So we warm up the conversation. And then we start basically a whole pipeline. The pipeline is basically general context about the campaign, which includes the prompt. Then from there, we go to campaign type specific prompt. I mentioned that we have different types of campaigns, social recruiting, B2B, B2C, and we have different prompts based on that specific types, because depending on the type, you want to create different flavors, different styles, different type of ads, creatives, and landing pages as well. So you can imagine that as branching towards different LLM logic if you want. After that, once we understood which kind of strategy we want to apply, then we go straight and create the creatives. So we have some prompts that generate directly the creatives, which means the images, the copy, the title of the job, for example, the CTAs, and everything that basically you can see in the ad. And what we do after that, we basically blend the output of the LLMs with manually curated templates. So we have some templates which are curated by our designers. They have tags in the templates which says, okay, here goes the CTA, here's the image, etc., and then we simply feed the output of the LLM as parameters into the template. As a next iteration, we may think about even generating the templates for the specific campaign, totally doable. We are experimenting on that. The quality is not that great yet, but I think it's about the semantics of explaining to the LLMs how to work with templates, how to generate templates. Regarding the images, I think currently we use Imagen, which means like it's Gemini. It's the Gemini family. We also tried Flux from Black Forest. I think it works pretty well. Imagen was just cheaper. But I think more models are coming out. I mean, the last one was from ByteDance very recently. And I mean, text is already a commodity. You can pick a lot of models for doing text generation. For images as well. It's becoming a commodity. I think you just need to pick your flavor and what you like most and what works for you, what's cheaper for your company. And also a little bit about the requirements. Maybe some model has less latency than others, so depends on your use case, but there's not so much differentiation. I mean, the differentiation is actually narrowing. Apart from that, we need to take care about very important things, quality, security, and integrity. So what do we do there? Because it's not just about, stitching something together, then the real engineering part comes in, where you need to do a lot more stuff to make sure that the system is robust, and then you don't get into troubles, and your customers don't as well. The first thing is output evaluation. We continuously evaluate the output of the models using LLM as a judge. That's a very useful pattern that basically it's a fancy name to say, hey, you, LLM, you are in charge of checking the output of this other LLM and tell me if actually the output is consistent with A, B, and C criteria that I'm telling you. And the LLM basically tells you, actually, yes, the LLM did a good job. No, this is the feedback, and then that's feeded back into the original LLM, or at least we see the analysis, and then we can fix the original prompt or do whatever we think is necessary. Then structure output. I think this is also not a mystery. It works pretty well for pipelines of prompts, because you can define output, which then you can use in your deterministic code. But also, and I think this is a new thing, you can use structure output to implement a technique which is called the schema-guided reasoning. LLMs generate text in tokens one after the others, which means that you can guide them, that you can guide their reasoning by defining the output structure. Stay with me. So, for example, if you define as an output structure, you want, for example, an assessment on an insurance claim. And then you need the LLM to reason in a specific way. You can define basically the attributes of that structure, of the output structure, to be in a specific order, so that basically you are forcing the LLM to output the thinking steps, the reasoning, that then needs to finish with the conclusion. That's called schema-guided reasoning. It actually gives a little bit of superpowers to LLMs, because you don't need this thinking big models. Actually, even cheaper models, they are yielding very good results if you guide them in the reasoning. Of course, this comes with the assumption that you know how they should reason. So you are modeling basically the way they have to reason. But I think it's a reasonable trade-off. You actually want to do that when you are designing how LLM should behave. Guardrails. And nothing goes in or out of the LLMs before we check on that. So we know that the LLM doesn't get tainted with content or requests that are not in the context of the application or the feature. And also the output is actually consistent with the role of the LLM. And then observability. We record everything: traces, token spent, time spent on prompt. You need to track your costs, you need to track the performance of the application, and observability in LLMs is actually becoming a big topic, a big thing. Insights. I promised you some insights. So that's what I think you should take away from this talk, technically speaking, of course. So here we are. So first one, prompts as OOP classes. Prompts are comparable to classes in object-oriented programming. What do I mean by that? You need to keep them small, you need to keep them focused, apply single responsibility principle, and define their input and output interfaces properly and make them testable. This is basically like a class in OOP. This is like the rules that you want to stick to. And it actually works because you reduce every single prompt to a dimension that you as an engineer, as a developer, you can manage. You can test them, you can define them, they fit in your head. That's probably the most important part here. Second, your prompt is not your product. I mean, everyone that starts with, okay, LLM, great, I can do a lot of things here with a single prompt. No way. Of course, I mean, everything starts with a prompt. And you can check quickly if you are able to achieve something, but there's so many more things that you have to think about and the UX of your product that goes around your prompt. So don't commit the mistake of, slapping a prompt, an LLM in a chat interface and calling that a product. That will never work. There's so much more around it in terms of UX, engineering. So think about that if you want to start your next company, or you play your go-to-market. I mean, if you go to market and you're not prepared for what your users are going to do with that, or like if they have a good experience, then you're screwed. It's basically like a useless product that you're launching. 3, do I need GenAI at all? Which defeats the purpose of the talk, but yeah. Only use GenAI when strictly necessary. This is a counterintuitive lesson that we learned, because I mean, LLMs can do everything. You can execute logic with LLMs, but doesn't mean that you should. It's a very bad idea to execute deterministic paths with LLMs. They are not efficient. They are not made for that. For deterministic algorithms, just use code. Even if you have to coordinate LLMs, I think there's a point, yes. Postulate, you probably don't need an agentic network, which means that if you need to coordinate more prompts executions, and you know exactly the sequence of the steps, okay, I need this prompt, then the output of this needs to go here, and then you need to go there, and you need this deterministically or more or less. Don't use an agent on top to be the coordinator. Doesn't make any sense there, because the deterministic code will always be more efficient by definition than another agent. Use an agent, use an orchestrator, use agentic networks for cases where there's discovery to be done. So you have a prompt, you have a task, and then, okay, you don't even know as an engineer, as a developer of the system, what the network should be doing exactly. In that case, yes, you need an orchestrator. You need some LLM that figures out, okay, what should we be doing? But in the opposite case, which is probably 90% of the cases out there, don't do that. Just use your code, basically. 4, domain-driven design. So how many of you know, practice, have heard about domain-driven design? Put your hands up. Cool. All right. So it's a discipline. It's a philosophy in I will say in software development. It's now quite old, I have to say, but still very, very, very relevant, and way more relevant now in the age of GenAI. Domain-driven design is about mastering your domain language and distilling your models. And that becomes paramount. So what do I mean by that? That when you talk in a team, in a company, in a department about your processes, what has to happen, how do we translate the processes into software, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that jargon, the way you talk about that is extremely important when you want to translate those processes or those things in automations with LLMs. LLMs are extremely sensitive to nuances in the language by their nature. So the more crisp, the more clear you are in telling them or in explaining them what you want from them, the better the output is. This sounds shallow and trivial, but that's probably one of the best learning and the most important thing that we always need to keep in mind. A 2-sentence, well-crafted prompt will always be way more effective than a 2-pages prompt that tells everything and nothing. So always remember that, even with smaller models. And as I mentioned, observability becomes first class. It's okay. I mean, when you want to launch your proof of concept of MVP, you don't need observability. I'm not saying that you need observability from day 0, but as soon as you launch, you will realize that you actually need that, because costs start spiking. You want to know how your users are using LLMs, and how long does it take to give responses with your systems, etc., etc., etc. It was valid even before generative AI and LLMs. The observability was a topic for engineering since forever, but I think it becomes even more important and something that we shouldn't neglect or forget. So think about it when you're scaling your application. The more it scales, and the more important observability becomes. Again, super valid for engineering in general, but I think it's something, it's good to remind that. Thank you. Questions?
Thanks very much, Nicolò. So, any questions from the stage or from online?
Hi, Nicolò. How your team implemented observability?
So there are tools already that do that for you. We use PostHog. PostHog, it's a copycat of Datadog in that regard, but they do a lot more. You can do A/B experiments. There's a lot of analytics in there. So they recently added LLM observability, and since we were already customers of them, we simply integrated that. Again, if you start digging into that, there are many tools that do LLM observability.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Hi. It's a very pleasure to see you again. I remember the first topic about the driven domain design in the club of sviluppatori. Yeah, so
we're all.
yeah. So my question is regarding the tracking cost. Have you been ever compare the performance using a local open source model compared to OpenAI or Gemini? Yeah, what do you think about using local large language model to save your money, but at the same time you have good performance?
I think it's a good idea if you have the capabilities. For example, if you want to use local models, then you need to invest a little bit more in infrastructure because you need to run your own machines, or you need to find somewhere to run those models anyway. But I think it makes sense from the performance point of view, especially for specific tasks which do not require heavy thinking. Again, as I was mentioning, if you craft the prompt properly, if you use techniques as SGR, a very good open source model is definitely equivalent to ChatGPT, to GPT models. Why we tend to go for the API-based ones, the usual suspects, is speed of execution. I think we are not there where we can get a lot of margins by optimizing that stuff, but we'll come a point where we will be thinking, okay, you know what, we need to cut costs here, and the local models will be optimal for that.
Okay. If I don't know if you can answer this question, can you tell me how you spend monthly for OpenAI or Gemini in
what
total?
You mean?
I mean, what you spend?
Let me think.
No problem.
I think we are hard to say. It also depends on so we are scaling the product. Right now we are spending in the tens of thousands a month. But again, it's a very, it's not a meaningful figure that I'm giving you, because there's a lot of optimization that we could be doing. Or maybe tomorrow we go to market in a very large country. We open it up to the US, for example, and that will spike our bill a lot. So it really depends to how many users you are.
Yeah, sure, of course. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question.
Hi there, thank you for your talk. How do you manage when taking on observability and checking if the system is not derailed? How do you manage the user's privacy, by meaning that you do not snoop on any personal things, and still get the value and the meanings from the observability standpoint, and making sure the system is behaving correctly?
Yeah, thanks. That's not really part of observability. That's what I what I mentioned when I was talking about guardrails. For example, and I don't think we include those in well, yes, we can, you can see the guardrails in the trace, but of course, I mean, like we don't see the content of the input before the guardrail, for example. And why? Because, I mean, yes, you could simply copy paste the password in your prompt. That's a PII type of data, or even something like even less harmful than a password, but still PII. So we block it. That's how we do it, very, very trivially.
Okay. And one more, if I'm allowed. When it comes to optimize those prompts, apart from the structured outputs, what kind of techniques do you see the most beneficial, or by condensing allowing to condense the prompts and improving the results?
Yeah, so a lot of people, they are very ceremonial about the prompts. They basically introduce the LLM to itself when it comes to the system prompt. You are a gigantic expert in lead generation, and you don't need that. Like, be very, very, very sharp, very crisp. Keep the prompt small, and if you have the feeling that the prompt is, the identity of the system, basically the system prompt is starts representing two focuses, basically 2 tasks or 2 identities, just start splitting that. So 2 small agents are more powerful than the corresponding single one bigger.
Hi, Nicolò. How do you find balance if you've got a lot of information with either user profiling or brand filing? Because you talk about being concise and trying to keep things crisp, but if you're dealing with a lot of information, perhaps not with your product, but with another, how would you find that balance and try to find a way to drive results that don't diminish any of the information that you're getting within that? Would that be breaking it down into different prompts and then combining it, or?
You mean when we accept the prompt, when we analyze the prompt that comes from the user, or?
Well, I'm more thinking, because you're talking about brand guidelines, which is colors and schematics and the idea and the feel of the brand and the vibe of the brand, but I'm building something that involves user profiling, and it takes a lot of data into context, and it continuously evolves. So how would you balance making concise, crisp prompts with something like that?
Yeah. I don't think it's about prompts in this case. I think it's more how you do if you want to call it, brand analysis. For example, what do we do there when we receive the website URL? We go to the website, and I think the most meaningful part, not visually, but from the copy point of view, we try to infer the tone of voice of the page that we are reading. So I think it's a very shallow operation that we do there, but usually works. Probably you have more, you have a bigger problem on that side in your domain, but for us it's as simple as just reading the page that the user is giving us, infer the tone of voice, look at the CTAs, their styles, and just apply that. So it's not a big deal for us. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, I'm made of many more questions, but I think I'll write you on LinkedIn or something.
For sure.
Thanks very much. I'll ask a final question, and we'll be moving to networking. We're very humbled by all the questions that we're seeing for both talks, so that's really great. I'll try to take off the hat of a tech person and ask a product question. So, how do you see the balance between implementing copilots into the AI UX flow? So, in other words, do users usually just get an output and edit it with a visual editor, where they set a sort of WYSIWYG on top of the generation, or do you see their need to speak to your AI and try to vibe their ask? What have you seen in your experience?
I love the question. That would have been my next insight, which I forgot, but thanks for asking. I hate. No, sorry, that's a too strong word. I don't like. I think it's not a great user experience. Let's put it this way, where like you just slap a chat in your interface, and you force your users to interact with like using a conversation just to keep editing stuff. I mean, when it comes to transferring an idea of what you want to do, a conversation works very well. But if you start going into the micro editing of things, like a visual user interface, a very classic user interface actually works brilliantly. Of course, you can still point at an element in your UI. For example, you're building a landing page and then you want to change the hero banner in a way that it will take like you 1 minute to do that manually, and you can have a micro prompt where you can explain that. For sure, that works. But usually for the 90% of the post-chat interactions, I think that should happen within the UI. So buttons, sliders, the classic UI elements. So I'm all for that.
Great. Thanks very much for that. Great. So thanks again, Nicolò, for hosting this talk. Thanks again, Antonello, for the business track. So we'll be moving to our networking, considering how we've gone happily at length, making it a very interactive session. We'll be moving to a networking session in the most spontaneous way. So happy to move over to getting to know each other, looking at what's thinking about who we are, what we are willing to help our next connection with, and what kind of help we can get from someone else across all the diverse professionals that we have here in the space on the business tech side. We'll be also moving to the other side. I'll give the words to.
So now we can have some drinks, some focaccia, and networking together. Thanks for joining, guys.
Thanks again, everyone.